So hey tech hustlers, welcome back. Let's continue learning about Amazon Lex and what kind of tools it has to offer. So as I was saying before, let's talk about the architecture. So here is a sample architecture layout of how Amazon, let's say, will process bank account statements, right? We're going to start off here and kind of make our way towards Amazon, I believe, Lex. Poly will kind of happen in between. Incognito Amazon is basically kind of verifying the user. We're not really going to deal with that in the course, but we will deal with this entire stretch here. So processing here, or asking for, let's say, some type of response, Poly recognizing it, Lex doing something with it and processing it. This is any server-side code that we have, which will also kind of go back and forth with Lex, and then have to respond back to the user. These services here, Amazon does have them, but we don't necessarily need them for this course. Same thing with the CloudWatch. So if a customer is calling for a bank account or wanting to know their bank account statement, like this here, what's going to happen is it's going to do some authentication to see if that's the correct user that needs the statement. So that's what this is. Then it's going to go and recognize the speech itself. And what's going to happen here is, it's going to get the account information. However, in order to get that information and recognize it, it's going to have to send a request to Amazon Lambda. That's where there's probably an API connected to the bank account. Then the bank account will read that information from your account and give some authentication parameters saying that it is you. Redirect back to Lex saying, account has been retrieved. Poly will then say, your account information is provided, here you go, and here's your balance. So that's how it'll kind of work. Lex will also kind of be more kind of figuring out what type of question you, for example, asked it. So if you just wanted to open or check your account balance, it could specify is it that savings or checking. So again, we're going to ask for specificity. Lex will know exactly kind of what direction we need to go in, and then retrieve some type of account based on this response. So that in a nutshell is the hierarchy. In terms of the bot structure itself, it's very similar to Amazon Alexa. So if you took in my course before on Amazon Alexa, kind of building for that voice activated device, very similar to that in that we have intents, utterances, slots, and fulfillment. Fulfillment might be a new thing, but then everything else is kind of straightforward. And I'll explain the concepts if you have not taken my class, so don't worry. In terms of mobile though, Amazon Lex is very interesting on mobile because they have great integrations already to Android and also to iOS. Now in this course, I don't believe we're going to be integrating to Android or iOS, but that's further exercises for you to try out on your own once you finish the course. In terms of examples, so I want to kind of go over a quick example regarding the coffee bot. So if we actually zoom in a bit closer here, pretending this is a speech and somebody's saying, I'd like to order a small mocha. So what's happening here is that's what the, user response is. What's going to happen is it's going to start recognizing the speech and kind of dividing each word up into smaller bits. Then what's going to happen is start organizing that terminology. So if we've already specified, for example, certain slots to be type, size, temperature, and assign those slots to mocha, small, large, medium, or hot, cold, or mocha coffee, it's going to start organizing it that way. Then if we want to, for example, so this is the natural language processing that's happening here. If we like to kind of ask it for more clarification, a small mocha, the lambda function, which is again where most of the code will be located, you can say, would you like a small mocha, is that correct? And then we would specify yes. Yes would be another response from the user coming in, so that's an utterance. And then it's going to go back to that intent slot model, validated here again. And once we've kind of have our parameters, it's going to go to our confirmation view and say your mocha will be available soon. Then Poly will either announce it to you or just tell it to you through text. So that in essence is a very simplified version of the coffee bot. If we look at the interface, so I wanted to kind of go over some of that. So this is the interface for Amazon Lex. As you can see, we have intents. This is going to be our editor view. There's a settings, channels, and monitoring view. Monitoring is kind of seeing how many people are using your bot, analytics related to that. Channels could also be used, and we will do it later, is connecting to different platforms like Facebook, like Slack, Telegram, and maybe a few others. But editor is where we're going to be spending most of our time. So with editor, this is a simple view of Lex. We have our intents, slot types, error handling. Our utterances are here, our slot types are here, and if we go a bit lower, which I'll show you when we start doing our first project, we see fulfillment. And again, fulfillment is any other code that we like to run based on a user's response will be run there. So now let's go over some key concepts before we get started with our project. So intents, that's our first thing we want to do, and this is an example, is performing an action in response to natural language user input. So we create one this way, and then we'll be able to do certain actions with it. As you can see, some built-in intents include cancel intent. So if someone says the word cancel or types in cancel, it'll end the chatbot. So again, it's gonna have or perform some type of action. Next thing is utterances. So again, these could be spoken or typed phrases that invoke your intent. So again, in this case here, we have hi, hello, tell me about a movie, tell me about a name. If a user said these specific commands, that means a response will be invoked, and we can kind of guide the user as to what we're going to say. So again, anything that the user says, that's an utterance. Next are slots. So slots are input data required to fulfill an intent. So as we can see here, this is just a little sampling, I guess, of slot types, but we have a slot type here that we created. We have two, and we assign it a name, right? So this could be summary, it can be details, it can be synopsis, something else, right? Like it can be 3 different things, but we assign that word to a particular slot, so that way we can recognize it very easily. And that's essentially what slots do. And I think lastly is fulfillment. So this is going to be a mechanism for your intent. So fulfillment is down here, and we're going to assign it a lambda function. So this function here, moviepedia logic, that's actually a program that we've created already within AWS Lambda. And what's going to happen here is that if we wanted to run this fulfillment, it's going to run that code and give us an output. Okay, so that's what's happening here, and we allow that. If there is nothing else that this bot, let's say, is going to perform, we can just easily say a goodbye message and then just have some text here that says thank you. And that's pretty much it for fulfillment, right? So hopefully these are some simple concepts for you to understand. In the next video, I'll just do a quick practice video with you, so that way you understand the concepts and we can get going on our first project.